Hi everyone, Lisa Haven here, and I've got an intriguing report to share with you. What I'm about to show you in this video is shocking because I have discovered a document that, while it's not a government document, the government hired this particular organization to create this document. Who is that government entity? Well, the U.S. Department of Energy has hired them to come up with a plan in the event of a cyber attack and to list our vulnerabilities. Now, why is this important? Well, you'll see when I get to the document, but here's what I want to preface this with. First of all, we've had all kinds of leaders, especially on the far left, globalists, everyone from Janet Napolitano to Obama himself, screaming and claiming things about our power grid, saying that we could get hacked, we could be taken out overnight by China. We also have EMP threats, not to mention, but all these kinds of scare tactics that we're hearing from every person left and right constantly. Now, if they're constantly screaming something like that, my alarm bells go off, especially when they start creating documents to prepare for the inevitable, if you will. Well, at least according to them, it's inevitable. Well, what I have to show you, I think you're going to find interesting. But let's just get straight to the source. On the screen here, you'll notice the document titled Cyber Threat and Vulnerability Analysis of the United States Electric Sector. And it's subtitled with Mission Support Center Analysis Report. Now again, this was prepared by Mission Support Center, Idaho National Laboratory in August 2016. However, it's just now surfacing and coming to the public here in 2017, so just a couple of months later. Now again, this report was prepared as an account of work sponsored by an agency of the United States government. However, they make sure to preface it with the fact that it's not their views necessarily, but the views of the author. Of course, they've got to say that. Now, if you scroll in this paper, here's a few of the key findings that you'll find. The first one is the growth of networks and communication protocols used throughout ICET networks that pose vulnerabilities and will continue to provide attack vectors that threat actors will seek to exploit for the foreseeable future. The second there is threat actors on multiple fronts continue to seek to exploit cyber vulnerabilities in the U.S. electrical grid. It goes on to say that nation states like Russia, China, Iran, and non-state actors, including forest terrorists and hacktivist group, and they even mention North Korea later on, pose varying threats to the power grid. Now that's interesting considering where we're at war-wise. Here's the third point. Utilities often lack full scope perspective of their cyber security posture. Total awareness of all vulnerabilities and threats at all times is improbable. But without enough cybersecurity staff and or resources, utilities often lack the capabilities to identify cyber assets and fully comprehend system and network architectures necessary for conducting cybersecurity assessments, monitor, and upgrades. And the next one here, some utility requires financial assistance in creating or shaping their cyber strategy, both to meet regulatory standards and for business security. The final one here is the assortment of regulatory standards and guidelines applicable to utilities regarding cybersecurity practices produces varied methods of adoption. This causes some overlap and confusion in jurisdictional applicability, federal versus state, and has produced a wide range of different practices in utilities in meeting standards, making evaluation of industry-wide best practices difficult. Now, before I get on that last one there, I want to say this, where they say that there's a problem because we have Fed versus state. Here's an idea. I think that the government has always had it on their agenda, at least the globalist agenda, not Donald Trump. Let me preface that. Don't think this is his agenda, but the globalists want to control it all. That includes the power grid. It includes your food source, your water source, the power grid, anything that is a vital resource to humanity. Why is that the case? Well, we know because ultimate power is what they want and what they need to have. And ultimate power corrupts absolutely. So they're definitely, I think, having that target for our electric grid, and they're wanting to make that federalized. Why? Well, they'll give you the answer of, well, so we can prevent cyber attacks, you see. So let's federalize the grid so we can handle this better. Just keep in mind things like the DMV, things like the IRS that never ever go right when they're federalized. We don't want our electrical companies federalized. Now here's the next one there, or the final one. Utilities expect more qualitative, timely threat intelligence from existing federal information sharing programs. And I think that just expands. They want to be able to talk to each other more about what's going on and sharing information with your big daddy government, obviously. Now, page 3 shows a diagram of incidents reports by sector, cyber incidents to be specific, but you can see that they're actually occurring on all different areas and aspects there as well. Now, it goes on to say that the Global Information Security Survey of 2013, a survey that they did a few years ago, indicated that 80% of power and utility companies reported an increase in threats, with mobile computing, malware, and phishing being of great concerns. However, only 11% of the surveys responded said that they felt their current information security measures fully met their organization's needs. 60% are running no or informal threat assessments, while 64% believe that their security strategy is not aligned with today's risk environment. Lack of readiness to address current cyber threats compounds future vulnerabilities, since cyber attacks continue to grow in complexity and sophistication. Now, they also go on to talk about 2014, a survey of security, preparedness, and maturity in critical infrastructure. The majority of respondents were not confident in their ability to upgrade security to meet current threats, while also stating that they had no access to real-time alerts, threat analysis, and threat prioritization. And it prefaces it with the last. It is likely many, many more cyber incidents occur than are actually reported. Interesting. So what they're saying there in a nutshell is there's a lot of incidents going on. Not all of them are getting communicated. Not all of them are getting pushed out. Some companies don't know exactly how to handle them and just kind of handle them at the wind when they come and aren't fully sophisticated already. Well, I think the government knows this. Could a false flag come about on the electrical grid? Absolutely. Could a real cyber attack take place? Absolutely. We just have to wait and see. But either way, if there's vulnerabilities about it, I think it's worth knowing and worth getting out there to everyone. But that's not all. On page 22-23, the report details vulnerabilities in the grid and then lists the particular systems that are, or this is page 9, excuse me, but it lists the essential systems that are at risk. And it says the electrical supply or generator or transmission stability, equipment performance and ability to recover, how long it takes to recover some of this stuff, which can be a very long time, communications between systems or equipment, operating conditions of generator, transmission, or distribution equipment, black starvey capability, and transmission of power between generator and distribution. Now, page 22 and 23 finalize it with this, that some of our biggest cyber enemies just so happen to be the people that we are at war with right now. That's Russia, Iran, China, North Korea, terrorist group like ISIS, and hacktivist groups across the country there, and they specifically actually list anonymous. Now, the rest of that report gets into some of the ways that they can help or build up the system there. But here's the thing in a nutshell that we need to just keep in mind. With our power grid, especially consider they just so happen to list on that report that was written back in August 2016. All of a sudden, fast forward today, this is before Donald Trump got elected, August, September, October, November, and then he was officially put in January. But consider that it was written in August 2016, and consider then that the biggest hackers then are Russia, China, Iran. Russia and Iran stick together. China and, you know, obviously ISIS, and North Korea. All of these are absolute key players in what is playing out right now in our country. And this is just simply why my red flags are going up. Maybe yours aren't, but I just think it's interesting. Here's one other thing that I wanted to show you. I thought this was interesting. There's a website. Now, I don't know who owns it or who made it or who put it together, but it's interesting. It's called cyberattacks.news. Now, this website actually lists, all the cyber attacks that happen all across our country here and even globally. I just find that interesting. Now, there's another website that I also found, and this is called HACKMAGEDDON.com. And I love the name there. Obviously, I'm going to use it in my title here. But HACKMAGEDDON.com does an analysis month by month of what is happening, where people can turn in cyber threats. So if you look on the screen here, there's one for the month of February. You could scroll down and see all the different cyber attacks that happen. Something that you might want to check out and something worthwhile and look into. Anyhow, I'd love to hear your thoughts and concerns. Are we vulnerable? Is a false flag ahead? Could something happen on our grid? Will China, Russia, or North Korea, for that matter, do something to the grid? I don't know. What I do know is we need to keep our alarm bells up and keep an eye out. Obviously, it means something to the government, and the government is taking it at will. Anyhow, wanted to bring you the latest on all that. If you've not checked out my partner here at getthetea.com, please make sure you do. When you try the Super Strength Detox Tea, you are going to, well, just follow the directions and take my word for it, because it will leave you with a bang. So go to www.getthetea.com and check out his amazing products there. He's also got all kinds of other stuff. Also, if you're not prepared for a cyber attack, please get prepared now. How do you do that? Well, there are things that you can do at home. If something is to happen in your area, you need to have a supply of food on hand. I'm all for the more, the better. But please, if you don't have at least a month, please at least have that. Bare minimum. I use foodforliberty.com/haven because the food lasts 25, 30 years. And so you can keep it around for a very long time in the case of emergency. So make sure you go there and check that out as well. Anyhow, if you like what you heard, please hit that subscribe button. And thanks again for tuning in. I'm Lisa Haven, signing out.